Do it through my phone. All right.
I know you can do it through Zoom. I have not done it yet through Zoom, but I know you can.
I'll do it through my phone on the side. All right.
Yeah.
All right, love.
Hi, and thanks for joining us. I'm Vincent Lancey, speaker and author of the book Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, and welcome to the Collaboration Corner. Today we are with Tampa business owners discussing how COVID-19 has affected them and their businesses. We will share conversations and interact through how we have made it through this coronavirus so far. Each of us has had our professional and personal lives altered drastically, but together we can find a way to continue to persevere and pivot with our markets. We'll start by going around the room and introducing ourselves to everybody listening in. Give us your name, your company, and introduction to start us out. Supna, please start us off.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Supna Doshi. I am the founder of We Go Kids. I am the mom of 7-year-old triplets and the co-founder of Allinea Production.
Absolutely. Antonio?
Hi, my name is Antonio Lombardo, Tampa, Florida. Co-founder of Lombardo Real Estate, Lombardo Heights, and other affiliated businesses around the real estate space. Happy to be here. Really excited.
Absolutely. Meredith?
Hi there. I am Meridith Alexander. I'm CEO of Grit Mindset Academy and also founder of Agency for Creative Talent Strategies, Inc., and author of the book, The Sky is the Limit. So thank you for including me. I'm excited to hear as well.
Absolutely. You, Phil?
Thanks for having me, Ben. I'm Phil Michaels, CEO and co-founder of Tembo Education, and now a performance coach for other entrepreneurs.
Great. Well, I was thinking another way for all of us to get involved as business owners and to help each other through our stories. And this is not what any of us wanted, but we can find a way to stay positive together. Let's start off at what trends do we see in our business arising as a result of COVID-19? Antonio, you want to start us out?
Yeah, trends. I think that we've got quite a few. Obviously, technology. I think the way that we connect is going to change forever. I think it already has been. But I'm relying on technology like we are right now more than ever before. And I'm not going to go back from that. That's something we're definitely going to be implementing in our businesses going forward for years to come.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Meredith.
Yeah, I was saying I'm seeing the same thing in my speaking and my coaching training, high-level training and stuff now. It really, really is becoming, we're seeing things on Zoom that we didn't think was possible. I spent 2 days doing a Zoom event the last couple of days, and it was incredibly successful. And I'm also seeing a lot of collaboration and cooperation.
Yeah, I love that.
Together in ways, and whether it's launching podcasts or whether it is, thinking of projects, how can we really just complement each other? And I'm loving that. And then of course, I think that anyone who's in the slacks industry is probably going to, it's going to go the way of the buggy whip, because now it's all about shirts, and that's like it on Zoom,
Absolutely. How about you, Phil?
I'm seeing an all-time high amount of content consumption. When everybody is locked in quarantine, consumption of content goes up. I was reading a statistic that the Disney Plus subscriptions went up more in this past weekend than the entire previous year. So it's pretty interesting to see how many people are consuming content, which echoes what Meredith said about people starting podcasts and just being in front of the camera. I think I've seen more people on Instagram Live than I ever have before. So I'm seeing that a lot of people are doubling down on coaching because they want coaches to help them succeed through this business. And a lot of parents are educating their children from home, which I'm sure Supna can attest to as well.
Yeah, perfect. Supna, come on in.
Yeah, on that note, I think the biggest trend I've seen is just real evolution in lifestyle.
Right.
Really shifting from compartmentalizing our lives to a holistic 360-degree, everything in the fire and figure it out kind of approach. So, as a mom of 7-year-old triplets, my entire schedule has shifted, and so it's a brand new lifestyle, but a really positive one.
Absolutely, everybody's being positive about it. We're moving towards this more remote era. We're talking about Zoom, things like Disney Plus. If we could see the future, we could have invested in these things. But Supna, let's stay with you here. What ways are you positioning your company to most effectively serve your customer base as these changes are occurring?
Well, as Phil pointed out, content consumption is on the rise exponentially, and therefore so is content creation. And so we have shifted to really focusing over the next 90 days to help content creators create their podcasts from start to finish in a matter of 10 days and get out a season of 12 to 16 episodes.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. People have the time, so they're taking advantage of it. Antonio?
Yeah, I think in the real estate sector, people are still going to be buying, they're still going to be selling homes. So we want to get on the front end of utilizing technology more so for virtual tours. And just people, like you guys are saying, content creation, content consumption. Right now, at least we can target and get in front of people in ways that we weren't able to a month ago. Everyone's home, everyone's available, everybody wants to do something, and they want to connect however possible. And I think that we're going to take this forward in our businesses afterwards.
It's a way to put it. You have to kind of stay ahead of it and stay in the front of this thing. Phil?
For us, we're working on providing, just like Zoom did, providing free video conferencing for, I think, all K through 12 schools. I know Google Education is working on something similar. So we at Tembo are trying to offer a free education for parents at a time to be able to educate their children at home. So couldn't be a more pertinent time to do so.
Absolutely. Meredith, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting because both of my businesses really engage in events, and the live performing arts really is having a tough time figuring it, because that was their differentiating factor, was like, this is a live experience. You get a certain energy infusion from being there live, and it's like being at a live sporting event, right? That's it. There's a big difference. And so that the performing arts industry is really trying to figure it out. And even Zoom, if there is one little Achilles heel on Zoom right now, is that you can't have it's not set up so two people can speak simultaneously. So therefore no one can sing on Zoom. We couldn't have each one of us trying to do a harmony here. You can't do it. So the only way to do a group sort of thing like that is to really pre-record it, mix it, pop it out, like a lot of the really cool things you're seeing. I just saw one today that was like a parody on the Bee Gees that's, staying inside instead of staying alive. I mean, there's some cool things coming out, but I think that the innovation, in order for the performing arts, it needs someone probably is going to be working on that, because that's a big Achilles heel for that. With the coaching and the training and the speaking, that still seems to be just, it's almost as if people are busier now than they were even before. Although one thing that I'm really loving, at least temporarily, is that a lot of the content is being given away as gifts, like gratis, for free, from the kindness of their heart, saying let's do these online events, even if they're summits for 6 hours, but at no cost to people, to really help people through it. So it's that level of humanity, and it makes me feel like going forward, that whole saying of it's not personal business, I think we're flipping that on its head right now and saying it absolutely freaking is personal, because look, we're all human beings, and the better businesses are going to be personal going forward.
I like the way you said that. I mean, we do have a lot more things going on. We're all very productive. Everything but the revenue generation is the only thing that's not as high. But Phil, let's start with you here. What are some ways you plan on cutting costs for your business, and do you plan on automating any of your processes?
I've been lucky and fortunate and blessed throughout this process, because I've been pretty much running a business remotely for the past couple years.
Yeah.
So I'm more so helping others cut costs because I've actually been doubling down on my costs, spending more during this time. So I'm playing offense, not defense. But I have helped other businesses cut costs. One of the two of the ways I've seen most commonly is they've realized how many subscriptions they were paying for that they weren't actually using. And two is how many people they were paying that they found were not essential to their business, which might be sad to say, but it might be the truth for their business and might end up being a blessing in disguise. Two of the most common roles I've found they're cutting out are bookkeepers and HR. So there's an app for bookkeeping called BotKeeper. There's also it's basically AI for bookkeeping. There's Bench.
Okay.
And then for HR and payroll, there's an app called Gusto.com. So it seems like there's a lot of roles that are going to be replaced, and maybe they didn't know they needed to be replaced until they're forced to replace them with technology.
What's your take with, you made a lot of good points here, maybe cutting costs they don't realize as far as commercial office space. Now that everybody's working remote, do they need that huge bill? Something I'm interested to see what's going on.
The electricity, the cleaning fees, the maintenance that it takes just to run an office.
You know, we're seeing how much companies burn through in times where they're not producing revenue. I read something about airlines having to burn $50 million a day, somewhere in that range, without having flights to generate money. So I'm really interested to see how all that plays out. But Antonio, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think that cutting costs and getting more efficient is on the top of everyone's minds right now. We actually just bought an office building about 6 months ago, and it's bigger than what we need. So we started leasing out semi-private offices for $200 a month, private offices for $350 a month and up, depending on size. And actually what we found is that that's actually cutting our costs. It's actually covering a lot of our overhead, and potentially will be an income source on its own. So we're going to be doubling down on that. I think that some people, small businesses especially, still want a workplace away from home. You grab your coffee on the way there, get some quiet space to work and think. But you may not need 1,500 square feet anymore.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah, so more efficiency. And then being in the real estate sector, I've been preparing for a downturn. I started in 2008 and really started ramping up in 2009 and 10. So we knew something was going to be coming, and we've been preparing for that for especially the last 6 to 12 months. But no one saw this coming. This wasn't what I was looking for. It still caught us off guard, but I'm blessed that we've been preparing for it up to this point.
Well, it's amazing you've been preparing for it. Meredith?
Yeah, I think most people, I've been doing more and more automation already, and this just really emphasizes, how valuable that is. I've been finding more and more things that, you mentioned AI. There's a new AI program that I'm set to actually talk to this week that really does all your social posting for you and posts the blog on your website, and really kind of pulls it all together, which for me, even with I've been really effectively using a VA, several VAs rather than having the overhead of a full-time employee. And that's been effective. So things like that, I think, are going to help to cut costs in the performing arts. It's more discrete of ways that that the technology can really interface with that. So it'll be interesting, but definitely the technology and the automation is huge, I think.
Yeah, Supna?
I think we focused a lot on educating and a lot of emotional intelligence training. I think at this time, although everybody is seeing a drastic reduction in revenues, when you can market effectively, when you have that relationship with your customers and your clients, there are still people out there spending money. And now is really testing the strength of how people have built their businesses from the ground up. What relationships do you have with your customers? What opportunities do you have to build relationships now that you can nurture in the future? And that's really where we found our focus to be, especially from a digital marketing and content creation strategy.
Well, I like everything I heard as far as cutting costs is. It's kind of showing some light, and there's opportunities still out there through all this darkness to bring some more positive perspective to this meeting. What are some opportunities that you see your company taking on as a result of COVID-19? Some bright spots in all of this. Supna, let's start with you this time.
Yes, well, my personal purpose in life and what all of my projects for all of my companies go towards is to reduce the anxiety, depression, and suicide rates in every community across the globe.
Yes.
Obviously, with a worldwide pandemic, the chances that those numbers are going to go up are pretty high.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is really a shift in connectivity, really a reprioritization of human connection.
Yeah.
And I feel like we really have, kind of that shift in lifestyle and that shift in an opportunity to really reverse those trends, and that's what we're focused on.
Well, I'm really enjoying the connectivity part, like you're saying. A lot of people are connecting, especially through Zoom. We're taking the time to bring that, as Meridith always points out, the people part of business is connecting. So let's go right to Meridith here.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what you just said, the collaboration, the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think that is going to be such a stunning benefit that comes out of this. Another thing that I think that's a little bit more subtle, but I think is really should come out of this as well, and that is, I think in the fast pace and constant change and unpredictability,
Right.
we get really, really focused on the sparklies out there, the new systems. Again, we're all talking about automation and technology and this and this and this. But what happens when you take human beings and you take yourself with you wherever you go, right? And you put us alone in a room with quote unquote our own worst enemy, right? And we're stuck here for months. So I think we're starting also to really, really have made obvious to us very, very important is mindset, and really beginning to take that very, very seriously, not just for its role in our business, because the strength of your mindset, it's that really impacts your results.
Yeah.
But also that when I have people come to me for training or coaching, a lot of times they're talking about work-life balance, and I think of it more as kind of a work passion balance.
Yes.
That really needs to be there. And I just think that it's being pointed out in an excruciating way that we sometimes focus so much out there and expecting if we can get those things lined up, and we're naturally going to react in a way that's going to make us happy. And clearly we can't depend on all those things out there to constantly be lined up so that we're happy. We've got to figure out that inner game too, I think.
Absolutely. And Phil brought up a good point before where he's been working remotely for a long time. So have I, but I'm trying to put myself in other people's shoes here where staying stuck in the house may not be as natural for them, as comforting for them. So there's a lot that connecting with others like this platform on Zoom can pay dividends for other people. But Antonio, what's your number one takeaway from COVID-19?
Number one takeaway, it's got to be relationships. I think that
let's talk about that.
Such a humbling experience. We've all been talking about connectivity and relationships, and I think that we're, coming out of this, we're going to be a lot more conscious about the relationships we have, the relationships we want, and how we're going to build and really nourish those relationships. So I think utilizing that in our personal lives, but carrying that over into our business lives is going to be pretty critical. For me, that was one takeaway. It's been a humbling experience. and it hit the reset button for me, and I think it did for a lot of other people too.
Definitely a very humbling experience. Prioritizes things once again of what's important and kind of how we're going to come out of this strong. Phil, let's switch to you.
How important it was to make sure my mom, my aunt, and my uncle all had FaceTime on their iPhone, and making sure they were set up to have video calls. You sometimes take technology for granted, and them living in New Jersey and Philadelphia area, me living in Florida, I don't know what I would have done without having that FaceTime, face-to-face connection. It's so important, which echoes everyone's thoughts about human connection, and just making sure, like you said, putting myself in other people's shoes that might not have worked remotely before, and now they're transitioning into this new role. One of my clients at Harvard that I'm coaching, I had him delineate his workspace at home.
Yeah.
So that way his makeshift workspace at home was more conducive to his productivity. So we set up a place where he does his personal projects, a space where he does his project with his employer, space where he does his projects related to academia. So that way he has separate desks, separate areas of his home that he works on particular tasks. So that's seemed to be very helpful for people transitioning from a office space to a workspace at home.
Well, it's a great tip to give someone. I have a publication coming out in about a week or so about a lot of these things, and something that's always worked for me is having that dedicated workspace where you want to mimic most of the parts of your actual day as if you are in the office, because if you're not used to working remote, it's very easy to maybe keep the sweatpants on and lounge around for a bit, but you can't. You have to still stay productive, have goals, have set times, and there's ways to combat the adversity of switching, but it is a transition, so I'm happy you noted that in the other people's shoes. It's just important to be aware, help other people, because it's easy for you, maybe a little bit difficult for somebody else. But Meridith, let's talk to you.
Yeah, I go back to the number one takeaway is probably a combination of creativity. I mean, this has been just amazing to see the level of creativity. I've seen
Out the roof, yeah.
On Zoom and Zoom parties, and all kinds of things, and really, I think you nailed it, of getting in other people's shoes, whether it's your clients or even your children, right? I mean, how they see you respond to this is really going to impact how they respond, and imagine it, if we can respond with resilience and the sense of self-trust that we're going to emerge even stronger, and we can help translate that into their world, then pretty much going forward, they're going to be even more bulletproof to whatever comes in their path, because they have that. So I just think there's so much potential coming. It sucks right now, in certain ways, but there's so much potential for us to create on so many different levels that we're too busy to even notice prior to this.
Yeah, it's great to slow down a little bit. And Supna, wonder with you.
I think for me, it really is just how important it is to show up and serve, not only as, the founder of my companies, but just as a human being, really reaching out to people via text or phone call that, that are on my mind that I haven't talked to in a long time. And to Meredith's point, really doing the inner work to stay grounded and to be able to be that light for others.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. Everybody, thanks for coming on. Again, we have Supna Doshi, Antonio Lombardo, Meridith Alexander, and Phil Michaels. We talked about some trends from COVID. We talked about how these companies are positioning themselves to better serve their customer base, ways they plan on cutting costs, some opportunities they found, and their number one takeaways. I'm Vincent Lancey, and thanks for stopping by the Collaboration Corner.